we get this
You're
popping.
you're live now.
Peace, peace. Planet Earth. How you be? Thursday night, March 4th, 2021. This year is getting away on me. I'm live. This Underdog Music. Peace to the Auburn Hip-Hop Congress and its affiliates for inviting us out tonight to talk a little bit about hip-hop, its political power, and its nation building aspects, right? Because in 2020, a lot of people's attention is centered around change, change of one thing or another. So we can only spend so much time like analyzing a situation and a problem, before we get to posing some solutions. So, that's what Underdog Music is about. I'm live. Underdog Music is the name. Win, lose, or draws the game. The face on the moniker is a child soldier from the Congo, which is symbolic to the underdog. It doesn't get much more underdog than that. So salute to you, little man. And this is in your honor. I don't know if you're alive or not. Still, if you are, I'm coming. If you're not, rest in peace. And this is in your loving honor and memory. So now, without further ado, hip-hop, political power, and nation building. I'm just going to go ahead and move into the just a little bit here. So this right here, just to give you a little history. It's myself with the mighty Grandmaster Kaz of the Cold Crush crew. This is us in Uptown, now wide summer 2019. Went home to see some family friends and ran into this good brother. And he really passed some ample advice to me that I don't really see visible in YouTube. I don't really see visible in social media platforms where I see the label hip hop posted enough of the time, right? And what he was sharing with me, was the need and potential for us to looking at the unifying power that hip hop has a platform on both the national and the international level. The political power that it has, the voting bloc potential that it has. Zulu Nation chapters all over Mother Earth at this point, from here to Europe, Africa, Asia, Latin America. And hip hop has a real unifying rally cry at its essence. So being a member of the Zulu Nation since '93, I'm getting a little sound latency here.
Yeah, yeah. If I may, Law, can you hear me?
Yes, I can, Rock.
I apologize, but we're having a little sound issues. Hopefully we could troubleshoot and we won't have to restart the broadcast. But if I was thinking we had this trouble a little bit last time, and your phone had better picture and sound. Maybe we can use your computer just for the for the PowerPoint.
Okay, and use the phone for the StreamYard.
You would just have to turn off the microphone on your computer, and that's it. I apologize for the technical difficulties, y'all. Thank you all for tuning in. We're going to get this right because this is too powerful for us to have, a choppy signal. So we were just on the phone before this, and I think it was a little more clear. So we're going to adjust real quick and make this happen for y'all. Please continue to tune in. While we're waiting, if you guys could say something in the comment section so we know you're all watching. And we're going to get into it as quickly as we can here. Thank you all. How's that, Law?
I'm good. Can you hear me? Am I echoing?
You're echoing at the moment. Maybe turn off the sound on your computer as well.
How's that?
That sounds
How's
great.
that?
Yeah, how's that sound, everyone?
Yeah.
Has that removed the echo?
Yes, sir. We're good to go.
Bet. All right, let's get into it. We wasted enough time. All right. Appreciate y'all's patience. Peace, Planet Rock. Peace, Planet Earth. Peace, human family. Underdog music coming live and direct. Sacramento, California. Sacrifice Khalifa, a.k.a. And we are here to talk about hip-hop and its political power and its nation-building aspects, all right? So this is something that has been espoused within the Zulu nation since its precepts. Notions of self-determination, notions of doing for self, notions of community leadership, and building aspects, all right? So this is something that has been espoused within the nonviolent approaches to inequity within the community that ultimately turns into division in the community and fragmentation in the community. All right. So as we were looking at previously, the mighty Grandmaster Caz reminded me that since the 70s, organizations like the Zulu Nation, hip hop as a foundation, has been one of the longest existing grassroots movements that still exist in the new millennium. You know, when we look at various organizations, various movements that are part of hip hop in the new millennium, they at times are newer developments, and that's not a bad or a negative thing. But what institution that has been part of hip hop since its inception holds often is the time coded historic data that provides us the ability to look at whether time is going in a straight line of past, present, and future, or if time is going in a circle, right? I lived in LA during the Rodney King riots, and this past summer in 2020 didn't look a whole lot different than South Central looked in the early 90s. Um, Something crazy about my image here. I'm showing the birth, and it's got a pineapple. Now, that's supposed to be an image of 1520 Sedgwick Ave in the Bronx, New York. Now, the reason why this picture is here is because, again, it's important to put things into historical context so that we can use history as a measurement of how far we may have gone or may not have gone in other cases, right? So we know that within the history of hip hop, this is said to be the birthplace of hip hop, right? 1520 Sedgwick Ave, you know what I'm saying, where Kool Herc played the first house party for his sister in the apartments there, and so on and so on. Hip hop was born. And here we are. Well, actually, there goes my image right there. Beautiful Sedgwick Ave. You know what I'm saying? No place like home, right? But when we look at hip hop and its power, right? Its capacity to bring change, what within hip hop sparked that? So when we look at the political power that hip hop has, for instance, self-determination as a spirit, there was a cause and effect relationship that is very similar to now that existed in the late 70s in places like Bronx, South Side Detroit, South Side Chicago, South Side Atlanta, South Central Los Angeles, the West Side of Oakland. All around the world, it's the same song in the words of the Digital Underground, right? So, right here on the image of causes and effects, what we have here is a picture of a dilapidated building in the Bronx. And what was going on politically in the Bronx at that time? It was austerity. They wanted to run the Bronx Expressway through residential housing, and people who owned buildings, tenement owners, landlords, they were being given money on the dollar to sell their property. You know what I'm saying? Now, the backdrop on that was that they wanted to bring the expressway through. But these people who were disenfranchised in the south side of the Bronx really didn't have the financial autonomy to pick up and relocate to another area, right? They were subject to the conditions that developed within this environment. So, landlords were setting fire to their own buildings so that they could collect insurance money. The building would be torn down, and, the next thing will come along. Now, nowadays, we call this gentrification, right? And we see this in Harlem, New York. We see it in Brooklyn. Not so much in the Bronx yet, but it's fast on its way. It's in Oakland. It's in LA. It's in Miami, Florida, right? We call that gentrification in 2021. But this, in actuality, has been going on for some time. Another example of how time is cyclical rather than linear, right? It's not so much of a situation of what was happening in the past, is not happening now. We often have to look back, not to get stuck there, but almost like a bow and arrow or a slingshot to project ourselves forward into the future. Now, that's a quote from our great elder and seer Kaba Hiawatha Kamene. I can't plagiarize on that because I'm an MC. So, as I was saying, within the Zulu Nation, we've always been about self-development, self-help, community service, community organization, and the cause and effects again, right? Within not just the Bronx, New York, but every major urban area in the late 70s, major inequality, major poverty, right? On the ground level, that equals hunger, right? In the streets, in the alleyways, in the tenements, in the apartment buildings, in the parks, right? It equals crime, right? Hunger brings crime. Crime brings violence, right? So this is self-destruction. And this recognition of this cycle and the tenets of poverty consciousness were recognized by particularly Africa Bambaataa in the late 70s. You know what I'm saying? He was given an opportunity to go to Africa on an art grant, right? And in doing that, he was inspired to try to learn about much about Africa as he could. So he took up looking at that classic film Zulu Nation or the Zulu, Shaka Zulu, right? And that in conjunction with going to the continent, Bam was inspired to birth the Zulu Nation as a unifying factor between major gangs that were depicted in that movie Warriors. So if you're ever looking for, quick historical side note, if you're ever looking for a fun movie to watch in your spare time, and it will also put the foundation and the advent and the birth of hip hop into perspective, is the movie Warriors, right? Because what was going on between those gangs, was much what Bam was seeing, like the character Cyrus that you'll see if you follow and go and watch that on YouTube. And he saw that unity needed to be brought to the people in the street, because what the people in the street were fighting over was food, clothing, and shelter. And the people in the street weren't the ones depriving one another of food, clothing, and shelter. It was then austerity, it's now austerity, right? So out of these recognitions and the need to stop the violence, Bam established principles within the Zulu Nation. Principle of peace, the principle of love, the principle of unity, and the principle of fun, right? So these are the principles of the Zulu Nation, right? Peace, properly educating all children equally. Proper education always corrects error, right? Peace takes on acronyms within the cipher. Love is the highest form of understanding that one gains through good and bad experiences. That's why love is the highest form of understanding. Unity is self-explanatory. And fun is everybody coming into the party in the place to be. You leave all your drama, your beefs, your divisions, your guns, and your knives outside. When you come into the place to be, this is the place to be. And we have peace, love, unity, and fun in here. You know what I'm saying? And if we got differences, we take them out on the dance floor, we take them out on the turntables, we take them out, you know what I'm saying, on the microphone. Hence the four elements of hip hop. Now, the foundational element of hip hop is DJing. Okay. Now, why is this? Because it inspires the breaker to break. It inspires the writer to write, or what they more commonly refer to in social media as graffiti artists, right? It inspires the MC to speak over the beat. It inspires the MC to jar, to griot on the mic. Now, later on in the new millennium, Bam ended up adding as a fifth element to the Zulu Nation knowledge, the knowledge of self. Because for every human being on the planet, the restoration of their humanity is based and rooted within the knowledge of oneself. Who were you before 1492? Is the question posed by the Zulu Nation since about '03 or so. So Human rights, in essence, is self-determination. Okay? Now, here in the United States of America, human rights is a feel-good cliche. Why? Because in the Constitution of the United States, as it stands, human rights has little to no presence. Bottom line. You'll find brief mentions of human rights in section 1983 of the Civil Rights 13th and 14th Amendments to the U.S. Constitution. However, attempts to have that human rights amendment upheld in court historically have not been successful. Okay? So, within self-determination, within bringing solutions to the problem of poverty consciousness, of crime, of violence, of hunger, of inequity, right? The battle was created within that spirit of self-determination and bringing solutions to problems. So I'm going to bring it back to the original title. All of this that I'm describing to you, mind you, is political power in action. Whether it's called out or not, whether Bam and Herc and Flash and Melly Mel with the message intended for it to be that or not, this is all political power in action, and also the hip hop nation being built within the very process of these actions being committed. All right? So, for the right of self determination, essentially, one's human right is the right to exercise one's self determination, the right for one to declare who they are, the right for one to speak and act and operate from their place of origin on Mother Earth, through their language, through their culture, through their identity, right? So, through unity, which is the voice of the collective action. Now, let's be specific here. When we look at some of the original documentaries on so-called graffiti art, I still like to call it writing because that puts it more into its actual context. Y'all ever heard the phrase the writing on the wall? You know, I think it might be somewhere out of the Bible. I'm not like a super religious person, so I'm not 100% certain what verse or what book it's out of, but somewhere in a religious book, it speaks to something about writings on walls. You know what I'm saying? And in cosmic thought, according to Neil deGrasse Tyson's and astrophysicists such as himself, Gabriel Oyibo, and the type, in the cosmos, there are no coincidences. The law of sequence dictates that everything is sewn together by cause and effect relationships, right? So as a result, the unity that came about through the hip hop culture and the respect for the laws and the principles of peace, the principles of love, the principles of unity, the principles of fun, the principles of keeping the drama at the door, turned hip hop into a nation of sorts with political tenets such as peace, such as love, such as unity, such as fun, such as no biting allowed, such as originality, right? Style supremacy. And this is what had hip hop in its what we refer to often as its golden era, much looked at, dealt with, and approached like a martial art, a kung fu or kempo or karate of sorts, right? You looked at your skill like your mastercraft. Your tongue is your sword, you know, and that's what Wu-Tang ended up embodying and Enter the 36 Chambers in 93 when that ended up coming out, which was just analogous to the dedication to your art and to your craft, whether that be DJing, whether that be B-boy, B-girl. I don't want to leave out the B-girls. I've seen some females do some ill footwork, some ill flair. So it's B-boys and B-girls. No disrespect intended to the females in the audience. All respect due to the females. Where there's male, there's female. Where there's female, there's male. That's ancient African cosmology, dua, and it's where the word dual in the English language comes from. But moving back to the image on the screen, we're going to go ahead and give homage to our women. This is celebratory, you know what I'm saying, of working from the bottom up, Because we know when we look at theories such as intersectionality, race, class, gender, religion, political affiliation, what have you, all tend to act in intersectional ways that place a person somewhere along the sliding scale within the society that they live in. And this is global, mind you. You know what I'm saying? And this is why within Underdog Music, we tend to look at the square root problem or the common denominator rather as colonialism than so much just racism isolated or class struggles, poverty isolated, or gender inequality isolated, because really they're all subcomponents of colonialism as an overarching theme. But what is political action, right? For instance, when the Black Panther Party was forming in the early 60s, when Bobby and Huey were attending Merritt College in Oakland and studying for Juris Doctorates in law, were they calling themselves forming a movement? Were they calling themselves forming a party? Or were they people, much like Bam saw in the formation of the Zulu Nation? Were they people who were faced with challenges, causes, and effects, and exercised human rights, which is at its barest essence self-determination, one fixing the problem that they're in themselves? Now, in these instances, this has often been invoked by the abandonment, systemic abandonment of people that are facing race, class, and gender inequality and discrimination within our society, right? To put things in its perspective. So what is political action, right? We see the women here saying, let's free our sisters, right? Is a patriarchal society as concerned about women in incarceration as it is men in incarceration? I don't think so. When you look at the statistics on the prison industrial complex, for instance, you see that in the cases of those labeled as Black and brown, the male and female incarceration rates nearly run neck and neck. Unfortunately, nevertheless, we tend to hear about the prison rape phenomena where men are concerned more disproportionately to women. So just to try to put action to word, it's worthy of mentioning that right now. When Angela Davis had to, testify before court and defend herself, she knew and understood that there was not a paradigm in place at the time that could probably understand, therefore represent her position. Self-determination. I mean, Angela Davis defending herself in that court case was like one of the greatest examples of successful self-determinations and human rights restoration in modern American history. So, Rocky and I and other members of the Auburn Hip Hop Congress, Poor People's Campaign, various organizations in the area nationally, and we also talk on an international level. Um, we're coming to talk more frequently about civil rights, right? Because the circumstances that pervade in 2021, they weren't left, unfortunately, in 2020. It's like 2020 and 2021. They don't really seem like it don't seem like the year changed, right? Circumstantially speaking, politically speaking, so on and so on. While I will take time to acknowledge and note that Kamala and Biden in the office are a knife wound rather than a gunshot with Pence and Trump, but I'm not going to get like ultra political here. The point of this all is civil rights, civil liberties, human rights. Okay, this is what we have on the screen. Now, why are they labeled as such and separated? Because legally and constitutionally speaking, they are. Okay. Simply put, civil liberties are Amendment 1 to Amendment 11. Okay. Civil rights are Amendment 13 to Amendment 15. Human rights, not going to barely find them anywhere in the U.S. Constitution. Okay. Technically speaking, human rights is a charter that has been drafted by the UN, and it is not a legal mandate in any nation on the planet unless they choose to amend it into their legal framework. Now, we know the history of governments around the world, not just in America, right? And we know that people are corrupted by power. absolute power absolutely corrupts, I believe the saying goes, right? Whether it's the Prince of Saudi or Trump or dude in China or Putin, we see, ill down in Korea. We see a lot of, Duarte in Philippines. We see a lot of examples of tyrants, right? They have melanin, they don't have melanin. Third world nations, first world nations. People just don't seem to handle power very well, all right? Whether it's a parent, a cop, a preacher, a pope, right? In America, what do you have? This is a question. In America, what would you say it is that we have? Do we have civil rights? Do we have civil liberties? Do we have human rights? What exactly is it that we're exercising here? Is it 1 out of 3? Is it 2 out of 3? Or is it all of the above? Now, a couple months back when we had a previous discussion, I displayed on screen the actual civil rights encoded into the U.S. Constitution, the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment, as well as the preamble documents which describe what human rights are as drafted and devised by the UN. But here on the ground in America every day, where your job is concerned, where your schooling is concerned, where your financial status is concerned, your political status is concerned, would you describe your experience as a civil rights experience, a civil liberties experience, or a human rights experience? So this brings us back to our initial point. Hip hop, its political power and nation building. Hip hop has transcended boundaries that education, religion, politics have not been able to transcend. Hip hop has transcended racial boundaries. Um, Some could argue that hip hop has transcended class boundaries when you take somebody from poverty and, it was all a dream. I used to read Word Up magazine. I think Juicy by the Notorious B.I.G., rest in peace to him, is a classic example of how some could argue, that hip hop wrestles with issues of class. We could argue that hip hop wrestles with issues of gender. When you look at Queen Latifah and Money Love and Ladies First, right? Or we look at Queen Mother Rage or the Miseducation of Lauryn Hill or MC Light, Paper Thin. There's various examples within hip hop where directly and indirectly as a culture, hip hop is wrestling with these issues of inequality. As a result, hip hop is a political platform. So let's look at the political power of hip hop in a more detailed manner. Take it out of the abstract, okay? The political power of hip hop. These are just some things that are examples. Hip hop has an international community, following, and fan base, right? Hip hop is global. You got people in France, people in Latin America, people in the Caribbean, people in Canada, the US, Africa, everywhere who are students of hip hop, practitioners of hip hop, enthusiasts of hip hop. Legally speaking, politically speaking, according to the UN, hip hop has all of the necessary qualifications to declare nationhood, which are a flag, a language, and a land mass or place of origin. So when we look at the restoration of human rights, which gives one the ability to exercise self-determination more fully and more comprehensively, we've come to find that through colonialism, one of the reasons that First Nations and African nations came to not be known by the names and by the titles that they had prior to colonialism, then slavery, was because within the legal framework of the modern world, a la the Magna Carta, people were not provided protection of the law unless they are citizens of a nation. So follow me here. Something that's a fact on planet Earth in 2021, because the eyes don't lie. Wherever you see people residing in a nation and they are not, quote, citizens, end quote, from the southern border on San Diego to the Mediterranean Ocean, people who are not citizens are treated as denizens. Now, the legal term is denizen. I should have put it in the PowerPoint somewhere, but I was putting this together as I was in the basement, and I work in a record shop in a basement, so it's a very organic environment, and I'm in there, and all eclectic styles of music are going on as I'm putting this together. So forgive me for not adding the term denizen into the PowerPoint, but denizen is spelled Denizen. Levi's coincidentally had a pair of jeans named after this. But a denizen is a person who exists within a nation, but is usually a member of the conquered population. Therefore, they are provided base minimal provisions. Usually does not include protection by the law. It may or may not equal food, clothing, and shelter. So we see this going on with Rohingya Muslims in China. We see this going on in Palestine. We see this going on the southern border of the United States of America, right? We see this going on the northern coast of Africa, people trying to flee and get to Europe over the Mediterranean, right? Because these nations and their identities have been so usurped and uprooted that people are suffering from arrested development where they don't have their authentic identity to exercise their pursuit of life on Mother Earth. But to our advantage, hip hop culture has spread and homogenized all over Mother Earth and even into dominant culture and society. BET, MTV. Now, while individuals like us who might consider ourselves to be a little more authentic to the culture of hip hop tend to be critical of the more major media outlets where hip hop is concerned in terms of what they do with hip hop. Yet and still, it has served to broaden hip hop into an international platform. When Yo MTV Raps came out in the late 80s, you know, brothers and sisters, or just people in general, who were living in suburbs and weren't living in urban areas, this is what brought hip hop into their living rooms at 4 o'clock every day on, MTV, right? And the benefit of that is that now hip hop is an international community, right? With participants, with enthusiasts, with people who have grown up on it and are now members of hip hop as more or less of an informal nation, in a pan nation around the world. Hip hop is universally recognized and practiced internationally. One of the latest co-ops and developments in the field of education is hip hop education. I just finished my master's at State, and while I was looking around at a lot of peers, reading on scholarly articles on hip hop and writing master degrees on the history of hip hop, I said, I'm an MC. I'll just make some hip hop. You know what I mean? you know. Um, so within the realm of education, within the realm of nonprofit, hip hop has become a catalyst and a unifying field, like Einstein say with his unified field theory. It has become a catalyst and a unified field. It has a theory that has a unified field on a national and international level, right? So when we're looking at human rights violations. As Malcolm pointed out in 64 and 65, when you make your issue an issue of human rights, your brothers and sisters in Europe and in Africa and in Asia and in Latin America can get in on your human right violation. But when you keep it a civil rights challenge, they don't have no voice in the matter because that's held under control of the federal judicial separation of powers, the government of the United States of America, and international community can have little to no weigh in on it. Now, though that's changed a little bit in the modern era, a la Twitter and social media, such as the Arab Spring in Egypt and the overthrow of the dictator there. There are always exceptions to the rule, albeit the collective work and action potential that exists within hip hop has the power to put someone in office. It has the power to take someone out of office. It has the power to vote legislation into place. It has the power to vote legislation out of place. It has the power to create economic trust funds and exercise economic self-determination merely by volition of number and population. If we to take a hand count of the human family around the world, how many of y'all down with hip hop? Think there's like 8 billion people on the planet. It will probably be at least a third who would feel like they identify with that. And that's something that we need to placate on in the new millennium. We need to start focusing on what our similarities are rather than what our difference is, because for the time up to now, when we're talking about peace and unity, often it's framed within a context of embracing diversity. But I think after so much time with attempting that approach, I think that it would serve us good to take a try for a change at embracing our similarities, and that may make embracing our differences a tad bit more realistic, right? Because in actuality, as human beings on Mother Earth have seen it, the cosmos have seen it, and astrophysicists such as Neil deGrasse Tyson and others, concur with this, have seen it where we have more similarities than we have differences. That's one of the blaring recognitions and undeniabilities about the coronavirus. The coronavirus haven't discriminated against no human being on this planet, regardless of their religion, regardless of their sexual orientation, regardless of their gender, regardless of whether they have melanin or they don't have melanin. You know what I mean? It ain't discriminated from Christians, from Jews, from Muslims. Everybody has been a victim of the coronavirus. You know what I'm saying? And Cosmic Mother Earth, by intelligent design, is saying to her children, like, look, y'all need to look that y'all got more in common. You know what I mean? And you got different. So block voting. We see block voting on the screen. What is block voting, right? This is the power to put somebody in and out of power, right? There's an author, a scholar by the name of Claude Anderson. He wrote a book called Powernomics. And, Powernomics in essence is the notion of you spend your money where you want your power to be. You spend your money where people respect you. You spend your money where people have common goals as you. You don't spend your money in a capitalist system. Monetary is power. So we need to learn to begin, if we haven't already, to be more conscientious of when and how we're spending our money, right? Because money is time, and votes don't tend to win elections, but checks do, okay? So block voting, the economic potential, such as a trust fund. We look at many of our pioneer hip hop artist you can find interviewed on platforms like the You're Not I Mean Godcast by Lord Jamar, Rod Digger, and the comedian Godfrey. And these people are not living off of royalties or living off of residuals of years at this point. Some of these people 50-year veterans in the game. You know what I'm saying? And many of these people are not living or the way that they ought to. Rest in peace, Ecstasy. Rest in peace, MF Doom. Rest in peace, Bunny Wailer. Right? You know? And when we look at the situations that their families are in, their families aren't in any position to withstand the economic unexpected loss of a family member. In many cases, these cats who's making music in the rap world, they might be the main breadwinner or the biggest breadwinner, right? So catalysts for large-scale global alliances to the purpose of and for, right? Self-explanatory. So at the bottom there is a picture of the earth. Let me take it out to abstract. I want that image to plant a seed in everybody's mind. That right there, what you see before you, is only 25,000 miles. Shit, 3,000 of that is the United States from Cali to New York alone. We're a lot closer than it appears. We're a lot more affected by what goes on in one place than we may seem to realize. Now, all them continents that we see people who are lovers, enthusiasts, practitioners of hip hop as a culture. If we had 100 people on each continent, in each state, in each city, in each township, in each hamlet, in each borough, in each suburb, right? Just put $1 into a trust fund. Look at what economic power we'd have in an instant. So, I mean, if we take one person from that's easily 1 million plus people, right? So this is what the visual is there for, because sometimes ideas seem more far-fetched than they actually are when we are looking at them from a certain perspective. But after all, Mother Earth is not that big. You know what I mean? It only take 3-4 hours to travel 3,000 miles in an airplane. You know what I mean? You can cross all 50 states in 3-4 hours. So I had a wise person tell me on December 21st of this past year, when the North Star, Sirius, was in alignment with the conjunction of Jupiter and Saturn, all the while the Earth was receiving electromagnetic particles from a corona mass ejection from the sun. On a cosmic level, someone like Neil deGrasse Tyson, an astrophysicist, or NASA themselves, would look at such a significant event as a game changer here on Earth. We're in a period of great awakening, often referred to as the age of Aquarius. Now, I'm not talking astrology. I'm talking suns, moons, and stars. I'm talking the cosmos. This is what our ancestors, the Mayans, those in Kemet and Kush in the Nile Valley, Khmer Rouge down there, Khmer in Cambodia, these ancient civilizations, Zap Tepi, right? Olmecs, right? The Dogon, our ancestors, who we were before 1492, like we say in the Zulu Nation. You know what I'm saying? They say that such cosmic events are game changers on Earth. So, radical imagination from this point forward is a great asset and a great tool. Hip hop, DJing, doing with the turntable what is done with it. Breaking, writing on a wall, graffiti, MCing, the likes of Rakim, Ice Cube, Melly Mel himself with the message, right? Which in many ways sparked a lot of it. Gil Scott Heron and the revolution won't be televised, right? All MCs. This was radical imagination at work in the face of resistance, in the face of suffering, in the face of poverty, hunger, crime, violence, inequality. The place to be was often the park plugged into the light pole or the alleyway if you're in LA or something like that. Radical imagination that rolls out the concrete, as Pac put it. We have everything we need. Astrophysicist Neil deGrasse Tyson say we're made up of the stuff stars are made up of. Everything in the universe is made up of 98% stardust. Right? We're more connected to the universe and each other and the cosmos than we're not. That essential radical imagination gave birth to DJing, gave birth to Bambaataa exercising self-determination and saying, I'm going to bring a stop to the violence by taking a choice to promote peace, to promote love, to promote unity, to promote have fun. If you get bullied on the block, you ain't going to come in here and get bullied. Or if you one of the bullies on the block, you can't come in here and bully. We in the place to be. And if you coming in here to party, you in here to party and body rock. Self-determination. We have elements. Our culture has elements. DJing, breaking, writing, MCing, knowledge of self. These elements are like building blocks in a pyramid that give us something to structure our entire movement around and to focus it around and to center it around principles. So this, in essence, is the political power of hip hop in its nation building phase. Because hip hop is a nation. We have various flags. A nation legally is a group gathered by a language, a place of origin geographically, and a flag. And then other cultural symbols and what have you. So we got all kinds of flags within hip hop. We got a couple of different languages within hip hop. We got a place of origin. So technically speaking, hip hop is a nation. Now, whether we coalesce together and act like one to bring solutions to our problems is yet to be told. Right? But in the words of the Iron Man Bob Marley, time will tell. So in that case, imagine radically. Don't be afraid to attempt your wildest dream because the cosmos supports you in that right now. All right. So this in essence is hip hop and various examples and looks at its political power and its nation building potential. And again, when we are talking about hip hop as a nation, we are not limiting the hip hop nation by geographical boundaries. On the contrary, we're including everybody within the fold of that nation who identifies by mere volition of love and commitment to the upholding of the principles, right? Which are peace, love, unity, and having fun, equality, freedom, justice, all right? So yeah, that's more or less 1 to 9. You know what I'm saying? That's 1 to 9 right there. Hip hop, the political power, 2021, nation, let's go. You know what I'm saying? It's up to us. At this point, anybody had any questions? Because I was just ciphering here and wasn't really taking direct note of questions. So if I overlooked any, no disrespect intended. And I would like to take the time now, just by volition of organic development, to acknowledge or answer any questions that I may have unintentionally missed. Rock, you there?
Yeah, so I've been pulling up the comments as you've been talking, but it's mostly been comments, not so much questions.
Okay. Well,
But
I
now
would
would be a
like to
good
look
time
at
if
some of the
anybody did have some
comments and just see
questions.
how
Amazing
this is
presentation, brother.
resonating with the
I
people.
appreciate you very much. Yeah, so I've been pulling up the comments.
KOS crew in the building. DJ KG. KOS family for life. That's that squad. That squad up. That squad out there in Columbus. Oh, y'all know the KOS crew. Grown folk business coming live and direct soon, seen. Grown folks business. KOS presents Grown Folks Business coming live and direct, seen. Coming soon to a hip hop venue near you. Stay tuned in to all your SoundCloud, KOS crew at Facebook, Underdog Music 713 at IG for the updates. Peace to Natalie and my man Rocky and the Auburn Hip Hop Congress for having us out. The underground evolution of hip hop TV, shout outs and salutes. Well, like you're saying, the youth is the foundation, man. The youth is the seeds. You know what I'm saying? Within the culture, we say the children are seeds. You know what I mean? When we have children, it's equivalent to planting a seed in Mother Earth, right? What we plant in Mother Earth is gonna grow. What we plant in our children is gonna grow, right? So hip hop, in essence, is a youth-based movement, and those of us that are elders in the culture um actually have a responsibility, right, to preserve the culture so that what is planted in the seeds, like that's what come out. So like, Mos Def said on that album, Black on Both Sides. You see, we talk about the state of hip hop. Like hip hop is a reflection of the people. You know what I mean? So like if hip hop in more instances than not in 2021 appears to reflect confusion, appears to reflect, you know what I mean, dehumanization, well, I mean, let's look at the people. And then let's also be honest, you know, just in the basement, I had a real intelligent sister come in from Atlanta. She was picking up some vinyls, you know what I'm saying? And we were having a conversation, you know what I'm saying, about the fact that there is a whole underground that exists in hip hop that is not coming in on the radar of the mainstream culture. You know what I'm saying? And contrary to popular belief, real hip hop is alive and well. You know what I mean? Again, grown folks business, knowledge self productions, KOS crew coming soon. In the meanwhile, y'all can check out Underdog's manifesto at Bandcamp. Just type it in, spell like it sound. Check it out for free. Download for free because it's for the seeds. You know what I'm saying? Okay, Connor Ryan, I see you here. You have a question. I just got into the poetry and writing a little. Do I have any advice for writing politically, like how to do it without making it boring? Yeah, I do, Connor. First, I you know, like I applaud you for humbling yourself to ask about the art of emceeing in a studious manner. And just first off, by if you keep that spirit, you'll become great. You know what I mean? Because it's an art. You know what I mean? And just becoming good at it just equals loving it, man. You know what I'm saying? Like just period. Just period. Like it just being good at something, just whatever it is. Just love it. You know what I mean? Also, like there is corny, you know, like hip hop is like either good or it's not good. You know, okay? So like hip hop is either dope or whack, right? When NWA made Fuck the Police, it wasn't because it was political. The shit was first dope. You know what I mean? Like when the beat was dope. The rhyme cadence, Cube coming over the rhyme, like the shit was first dope. That's hip hop. So when we look at the political hip hop that have been dope, they have still focused on the craft of emceeing and the craft of proper beats and the art of the break, right? You think about America's Most Wanted or Long Live the Kane, right? Or 93 Till Infinity, Souls of Mischief. I'm trying to think about very examples across the board, right? If it's not in you to write rhymes that are like clever politically, don't do it. You know what I mean? There's other ways to support consciousness and present art that's conscious. Um, if you're not the greatest political analyst on the mic, for lack of a better way of saying it. You know what I mean? You can plant images in your artwork. You know, it's a very visual world in 2021. Everything's mainly coming through digital and through the computer, right? So there's other ways for people who may have a desire to present consciousness and awareness. If they feel like when they sitting down and they writing their rhymes, it's not coming off dope while they're trying to be. So Connor, I kind of hope that answers your question. Huh? You know what I'm saying? I don't want to like overtalk it, but um, and then last thing I'll say, Connor, just test it. Like write rhymes and then test them on your people who like hip hop and people who don't like hip hop. And when you start getting like unanimous feedback, like damn, I don't listen to rap, but that was ill what you were saying. Then you know you moving in the right direction, son. All right, hip hop don't stop, my dude. And my dudettes, hip hop don't stop. All right. KG. We got a bill. Where's grown folks business, man? I want to hear the songs.
Putting it down in life with a type team. That's grown folks' business, KG, in love and memory of those who tried for a bright dream, but met along the way the mega might of the pipe dream. So David and Goliath's what we title the fight theme, whose pull is powerful as adamantium. Magnetic, mutated, melanated, powered by the people champion. Putting it down for life, pen of the pantheon, long line of lyrical skill, life from the land beyond. Wild style miracle, militant nigga spirituals, KOS critical, surgical with them syllables. Putting it down for life and on the principle, the 5 elements is manifesting in the physical. All right. I just had to get my MC on real quick because this is hip hop live and direct off of the dome. KOS crew, grown folks, business coming soon. Seen Underdog's power cosmic coming soon. Seen. See, hip hop organic like that. We building political power right here, right now, right? Because we're all passionate about the cause. We're passionate about the cause of DJing. We're passionate about the cause of MCing. We're passionate about the cause of graffiti art. So, moving forward, you know what I'm saying? Little things that you can start doing is getting with people in your community. You know what I'm saying? And starting a food bank. You know what I'm saying? Start being visible. Start being visible, doing positive things. It's real good to get in connection with the schools and offer tutoring. You know what I'm saying? I know that in the era of the cyber learning and everything, a lot of that in contact stuff has been thwarted. But one, it's not gonna stay this way forever. And two, you can still do these things in this cyber connectivity, type of environment that we're in. Start putting $1 aside every 5. Pay yourself 5% every time you get paid. You know what I'm saying? And then 2.5% of that, start putting in a collective pot. You know what I mean? This is political action. You know what I mean? When you do your art, put it for sale and let people know that it's for a cause. It's for a cause for promoting education and awareness for kids. It's for people learning how to develop sustainability in their communities, because this is all hip hop. I want to invite everybody to imagine hip hop outside of the box that it's been placed in, not by us. You know what I mean? And start redefining what it means to exercise this culture once again. You know what I'm saying? In 2021, like Bam did, like Kool Herc did, like the pioneers and the forefathers and foremothers of our culture did. You know what I mean? They weren't even calling this hip hop, technically speaking. You know what I mean? It was just a place to be. It was where the party was at. It was where you could go to chill out. It's where you could go to meet a guy, or you could meet a girl, or you wanted to hear music, or see what the latest dances or the latest fashions were. It was the place to be. You know what I mean? So, this is hip hop in essence. You know what I'm saying? Who's saying that down there? So yeah. Anybody got any other questions or comments? I'm just getting off work. I ran in here with 50 pounds of vinyl on my back from the basement off the train. You know what I mean? Hip hop don't stop. It continue. I want to invite everyone to check out Judas and the Messiah on Amazon Prime. There's also another good one. I think it's on Netflix called Finding Fela. But more poignantly, Finding Fela. He redefines how music, how art is one of the most effective weapons that human beings have. Right. Fela and what he did with what we now know as Afrobeat in Africa, where he was at on the continent, was a resounding example of what hip hop in its political power has done in the past, through Fight the Power by Public Enemy. You know what I'm saying? I was there in Bensonhurst when Yusuf Hawkins died in '89. And when Fight the Power came on, You know what I'm saying? It was a hell of a scene. You know what I'm saying? And Fela Kuti and what he did with Africa 70 and his movement is semblant, you know what I'm saying, to what we've done with hip hop before, what we still are doing with it now, but the revolution ain't televised, and what we can do more collectively with it moving forward in the future as we enter the eve of George Floyd case being presided over. We're hoping and praying that there will be a change in the judicial aspect of the government now under the new administration, and we'll see more examples of justice being upheld in the courts. But if we look at history, we expect the worst, we hope for the best. That's an age-old KOS phrase. Expect the worst, hope for the best. And in the meanwhile, you know what I'm saying? Take your hip hop, exercise your political power, and build your nation. You know what I mean? Because this one has kind of run out of ideas. So, youth. In the words of Slick Rick, hey, young world, the world is yours. If you don't like the world that you inheriting, turn it into what you want to make it, and know that there's those of us, you know what I'm saying, beside you and behind you to assist you in turning the culture into tools for change. You know what I mean? So was that time right? I think that's a 9:45. Yeah. Let's get something to eat.
Yes. Thank you, Law. That was amazing, brother. I really
Peace,
appreciate
Rocky,
that it was
and Natalie.
presentation
I love
format
y'all.
because
Say hi.
yeah, I appreciate you, bro. I love his back, bro. Natalie's over here saying hi, sending hers as well. And this will be available to watch on YouTube and Facebook. So please feel free to share it. And it was great either as a discussion or a presentation. So I hope more people tune in if they were at work or just, having dinner. I hope people share it and spread the word because this was powerful information and a great conversation, bro. Thank you.
Hey, one love to y'all. One love to Auburn Hip Hop Congress. Check us out. Come follow us at Underdog Music 713 at Instagram. DJ K Genius, KGENIUS 614 at Instagram. Follow us at KOS Crew. It's just KOS and Crew at Facebook. We ain't just into this, self-determination on a political, economic level. We still make raw beats and rhymes. You know what I mean? Like that's hip hop in its essence. You know what I mean? Like, forget the likes and follows. What does the music sound like? So I'm real eager for y'all to go over to our SoundCloud and our Bandcamp and get a musical listen. You know what I mean? Because hip hop don't stop. So once again, thank y'all. You know what I'm saying? Cosmic Mother Earth, to all the ancestors of all the people. Thank you for gathering us here. You know what I'm saying? And we open ourselves and make ourselves receptive to being antennas and conduits, you know what I'm saying, for up and coming change, so that those to come, which are those who have already been here, can inherit properly, you know what I'm saying, a dynamic earth once again, and it's just that simple. Hip hop don't stop. Underdog Music, KOS Crew. Boom, boom, boom.
Peace.
Y'all see Molly in the back? Wake up and
Yes.
live, son. What the Iron Man say? Wake up and live, son.
That's right.
Yeah, man. Wake up and live.